Hey everybody, hope you're doing good today. Neil the Knife Guy here. Gonna try to disassemble my Spyderco Para 3. I've been trying to do this video for the last almost hour and really disappointed that Spyderco has put red Loctite on this knife. Like I said, took me about an hour to get these two screws loose enough to where I could actually get them out, and that's just not a good thing at all. Love Spyderco, hate the fact they use red Loctite on their knives. Hope it's something they don't do with all their knives, because a lot of their screws can't handle a lot of torque, and that's going to equal a lot of stripped out screws. Luckily, while trying to get the bond of the red Loctite off, I didn't strip any of these screws, so that's at least a consolation prize. Just going to get to it. This is a T10 for the pivot, and depending on what sort of torques you have, either a T8 or a T9 for the body screw. There can be some variance in the torque bit driver, and that's the only thing why I say this could be a T8 or a T9, depending on your set's sort of accuracy or how they actually made their torque bits. For this one, I'm going to actually use a T9 because my torque bit set isn't that good of a quality. Never had a problem with it before, but just not up to the standard of, let's say, a Weehaw torque bit set. Just going to get to it here. Like I said, it took me about an hour to actually loosen up the red Loctite on these screws, and not a good thing whatsoever. I really wish Spyderco would stand behind their product enough to let someone disassemble their knives. I've disassembled all my Spydercos, every single one that I've owned, and never had a problem putting them back together. Never had a problem with centering, so don't know why they're sort of choosing to go this route. Just switching to the T9 now. I'm not going to be prying off these handle slabs. I don't see a point in sort of separating this joint here. Kind of curious of how easily this is going to come off with that sort of shouldered stop pin here. Maybe try it this way. Definitely tight tolerances, which is leading to a little bit of trouble separating the metal liners from this stop pin here. Gonna try a little bit of pressure. Oh, there we go. That didn't take too much effort. And just gonna do this the normal way I sort of do knives that have these lanyard tubes that are sort of flared out. And shit, there goes one of my washers. So I'm going to pause the video here and find that thing. Alright, I'm back. I found it. It just landed down by my feet. Just looking at this washer, it looks kind of strange to me, almost stonewashed, which would be very, very weird. See if I can get a close-up of this. You can see the sort of speckled sort of finish on it. Different. So not sure which way that one goes back. Take the blade off, and you can see all the red Loctite in there. Very disappointing. Just gonna grab a little tool here. This is just the toothpick from a Swiss Army knife. Very useful for all sorts of different things. And just going to get in there and get some of this Loctite out of there. Never really had a problem with any of my paramilitary 2s loosening up while using it, like the screws on it. So really don't know why they decided to use red Loctite on here. It's pretty dry on the inside. I don't really see any sort of signs of oil, which is kind of strange also. But the knife is smooth. You can see frickin' more red Loctite. Little flakes of it everywhere. Holy crap. Look at that. As much as I love Spyderco and love this knife, that's just terrible. And I'm just going to leave that alone. Just wipe down all the surfaces here. The blade tang, give that a nice little wipe. Since it's not really that dirty inside, I'm not really going to use any rubbing alcohol or anything like that. Give the inside of this hole a swabbing. So that's done. The washers really don't need cleaning either. Really wondering why these look so different than regular. Maybe it's just that they're not broken in fully yet. You can see the inside of this is done really well. I want to say the G10 on this is a little bit different than Spyderco's regular G10. Same sort of grippiness to it, just like the overall pattern's a little bit different. And you've seen that I really didn't have too much of a problem getting this stop pin to come out. Knife is definitely made well. I really do think this is a stronger design with this stop pin here than the regular paramilitary 2. You got 2 screws on either side and then a hollow pin. This is actually seated through 2 stainless steel liners and is a solid piece of steel, so this construction here is definitely stronger than the paramilitary 2 in my opinion. Just gonna put this back together now. Just usually with all my knives when I get them, I take them apart, see if they need cleaning whatsoever. Sometimes they come from the factory with a little bit of gunk on them, a little bit dirty on the inside just from the manufacturing process. Let's spread this oil around and get some up on the pivot here. I found the best thing for, I'm just going off of my paramilitary 2, the times that I've disassembled that, but just going off of the sort of design of this knife, less oil is more. You tend to run into some problems with putting a lot of oil in this knife, either lock bar stick or actually not as smooth an action as the knife could have. I'm going to put the blade back on and grab this washer, see if I can't figure out which side this washer goes on. You could usually tell with this bushing pivot system because you'll see a small little line in the actual washer itself. Just going to take this around the side and use a flashlight, get more light on the subject at hand. So yeah, there's a little bit of a light spot on this side. You might be able to see it, that little ring around the center here. So I think that goes down on the pivot. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a, hey, get back here. A little bit of an oiling. It might be a little too much, but I'll spread it around with my fingers. That's good enough there. Pop that down. Wipe my hands off because they're all nice and oily now. Gonna hold this and try to get this back into place without flinging that washer across the room again. How's the best way to do this? Make sure that's in there. The lock bar is going to want to spring the knife apart, so I'm just going to close it and sort of pinch it at the pivot so I could get the screw in. Switch out my Torx bit here. Screw that down until I feel it bite in. Switch back over to my T9 for this body screw. Just a little bit of resistance there. Check my centering, which is still perfect. Flick it open, see if there's blade play. There's definitely no blade play in there, and I'm really giving it. I don't like any blade play in my knives, so I tend to run my knives a little tighter. Open it and close it a few times just to get that oil worked around. Nice. Don't think that needs any more tightening. It's nice and flush. See if I need to tighten this body screw anymore. Yeah, it could go a little tighter. Centering still perfect. Maybe loosen up the pivot a little bit. Still no blade play. And very smooth action. Nice. So besides the fact that they decided to use red Loctite on this knife, overall, very happy. This has been in my pocket since the day I got it, and very impressed with this knife. Really love that they changed this to a sort of seated stop pin, or a floating stop pin if you want to call it that, since it's not sort of pressed in place. Great action, great detent. Just a joy to carry and use. So that's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. One thing I also wanted to mention too is that this knife really does feel visually and in the hand like the Paramilitary 2. It's really just a smaller version. It's been redesigned to sort of accommodate that smaller handle and blade shape, but still overall you get all the classic sort of features with the Paramilitary 2 in the Para 3. So enough rambling from me. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and stay tuned for more.